To Sir with Love by Eustace Edward Ricardo Braithwaite. Presentation prepared by Mrs. Sujata Ali, Dharampet MPDO Memorial Science College, Nagpur. About the author. Eustace Edward Ricardo Braithwaite, 1912 to 2016, known as E.R.Braithwaite, was a Guyanese-born British-American novelist, writer, teacher and diplomat, best known for his stories of social conditions and racial discrimination against black people. He was the author of one of the most famous 1959 autobiographical novels, To Sir with Love. He also wrote A Kind of Homecoming about his tour to Africa, A Choice of Straws, a novel set in London, and Reluctant Neighbours, a memoir and treatise about racism. Braithwaite's numerous writings primarily deal with the difficulties of being an educated black man, a black social worker, a black teacher, and simply a human being who found himself in a set of inhumane circumstances. To Sir with Love is an autobiographical novel. The writer, that is the narrator, is an engineer, but to make both ends meet, he accepts the job of a teacher in a rough London end school. The school is full of troublemaker students who were rejected from other schools for their behavior. At the beginning, the narrator is ridiculed and bullied by the students, but later his calm demeanor and desire to see them succeed gradually earn him their respect. Summary of the novel. To Sir with Love is a work of fiction based on the life of the author E.R.Braithwaite. The main character, E.R.Braithwaite, works as an engineer in an oil refinery. He served in the Royal British Air Force in the war. After the war, being a black person, he was unable to find employment. As a last resort, he applied in a school to become a teacher. Surprisingly, he is accepted at the Greenslade School in London's East End and is set to teach the senior classes of the school. While reading the novel, we have to bear in mind the time period in which the story takes place. The narrator is prejudiced against the whites. Braithwaite finds that even though he considers himself British and has served in the Royal Air Force, that is the RAF, the English do not consider him to be one of them. This leads Braithwaite to feel bitter about the English and colonialism, as well as about his white students. Braithwaite's teaching position starts out roughly, and he is embarrassed time and again. Braithwaite's opinion about his students and his subsequent reaction. The students are disrespectful, ill-mannered, and mischievous. Braithwaite verbally scolds the girls for acting in an unladylike manner and being unruly in the class. The students' opinion about the teacher and their subsequent reaction. The students consider their master to be an arrogant outsider, unfamiliar with the social environment in which they have grown up. They harass him from day one, slamming their desks during the lecture, using foul language, and bullying him to a great extent. After a while, he realizes that his outbursts is not going to gain him any respect and cooperation from his students. So, he changes his teaching and handling tactics and decides to interact with them as though they are adults and respectable persons. He requires every girl to be referred to as Miss, and that his students should call him Sir. At first, the students find this polite behavior ridiculous and unnecessary. However, after a few weeks, they completely change their behavior and attitude towards one another. This marks the success of Braithwaite in handling the students in a very amicable and friendly manner. To increase the class cultural exposure, Braithwaite takes the students on field trips and excursions to museums and theatres. A white female teacher, Gillian Blanchard, accompanies the class on these excursions. This marks the beginning of a friendship between Blanchard and Braithwaite. Similarly, Braithwaite's relationship with his students is tested many a times. They keep disappointing him frequently. Braithwaite has by now learned to forgive his students. The students constantly surprise him with their maturity, empathy, and knowledge. Another facet of the story which greatly affects its narrative is the heavy history of colonialism, its dark consequences, mental and physical trauma that increases Braithwaite's hatred and anger for the British. He constantly feels the prejudicial effect of colonialism while living in England after World War II, and these negative experiences frequently shape his thoughts and actions. Braithwaite is surprised and shocked by the conditions in which these students live, and also the physical trauma of that can be seen throughout his teaching environment. Theme of the novel. The major themes of this novel are student-teacher relationship, prejudice, and racism. E.R. Braithwaite gets a job of a teacher in a rather rough and notorious school. Hurdles faced by him. The students belong to a background that is not suitable for learning and their overall development and progress. The students are in no mood to change their attitude and behavior. Braithwaite is bullied, harassed, mentally and physically tortured many times. Efforts taken by Braithwaite to transform his students. He made use of novel and creative ideas and innovative techniques of teaching. He tried to understand the students' psychology. He did not lose his patience. He brought about a significant change in students' lives. Time period of the novel: the mid-1940s. Racism was prevalent in Great Britain. The narrator cites repeated incidents in which he experiences the racism of white Britons. Encounters on the bus, at job interviews, at Greenslade School, while searching for housing, at a restaurant with his girlfriend, and many other places. Braithwaite's feelings at being treated differently. Braithwaite is shocked by the unexpectedness of such prejudice. He was brought up in British Guiana and he considered himself as a British citizen, not as a black British citizen in a British colony. When he served Great Britain in the Royal Air Force, that gave respect and esteem. The day he left his job, he found himself to be an outsider. Treatment meted out to Braithwaite because he was black and his subsequent reaction. Braithwaite faces great difficulty in getting a job. This heightens Braithwaite's sense of betrayal for the British. But he never lashes out physically and very rarely does he do so verbally. He exhibits patient endurance most of the times. At times, he feels the rage inside him is transforming into hatred so strong that he desires to hurt those who treat him unfairly. Even though the students of Greenslade School are notorious and rough in behavior, he still gives proper care and treatment and achieves the desired results. This presentation was prepared by Mrs. Sujata Ali. Thank you for watching.